Okay, campers, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put a zipper all the way down the front of this garment. The only place you can put a zipper is on a seam. You have to put a zipper in where two pieces of fabric come together, even if they're the same fabric. And you notice we don't have a seam down the front. Like this whole front shirt here is one piece of fabric. The collar is one piece. The waistband is one piece across the front. It's all one piece. So one of the first things we're going to have to do is we're going to have to split that fabric. That's not a necessary piece of making a zipper. If you want to put a zipper on an existing seam, you can skip that part. But we have to do it here because we have no seam to begin with. Okay, so let's get started. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm finally going to get around to deleting this pattern piece over here, our collar. We're not going to use it. We're eventually going to put a hood on this garment, and we're going to put the hood directly on the front and back of the garment. So I'm going to use my tool here. This one is transform pattern, and using transform pattern, I'm going to select that collar piece, and then I'm just going to hit delete on my keyboard, and bye-bye. All gone. All right, cool. So now we've only got two pieces of pattern that we have to cut through in order to put our zipper in there. So let's zoom in. I keep zooming out. Let's zoom way in. There we go. Thank you. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to split both of these pieces of fabric. So the first thing I want to do is I want to draw a line down the center of the fabric where I'm going to cut it. Now we saw this before when we were making cuffs. You draw a line and you can cut and sew. In this case, I'm just going to cut. But we want to draw that line. And so what we need is the internal polygon / line tool. And if you saw me mousing over several tools, it's because I forget where it is all the time. It's right here. I just mouse over until I see the one that says internal polygon line. And I'm going to choose that tool. And as soon as I choose that tool, you notice there's all these like dots that show up on the sleeve. That's because the sleeve and the neckline are very, very curved. Okay, they're very, very, they've got a lot of curve to them. And so there's a lot of points there, but it's okay. I'm going to pretty much ignore that. All right, with my polygon line tool in the 2D window, I'm going to make sure I am at the very tippy top of this pattern piece. If you're not at the very tippy top, this will not work. Okay. And then I'm going to click and drag downward. Now, you notice if I drag in different directions, that line will go all over the place. If I hold the Shift key while I'm dragging, it's going to make me a perfectly vertical straight line. And so I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom of the same pattern piece. Make sure I'm absolutely on the bottom. And then that is where I'm going to click twice to have my line drawn. Okay. It is very hard to see the line because there's this whole dash thing going on, but you can see it very clearly over here on the 3D window. Okay, so I made myself a line. I'm going to repeat that process down here on the waistband. So again, at the very tippy top of the waistband, click, drag down, click, and then click again. The important thing to know about that 2-click process, it's not a double click. If you double click, you'll get something else. It is click and click again in the same spot. And if you do that without moving the mouse, that's how you end your lines. All right. I know it's a little weird. You'll get used to it. All right. So now there is a line down the front of the bodice piece, and there's a line down the front of the waistband. Now I'm going to go back to my edit pattern tool, and we saw this before. I'm going to right click on that line and I'm going to cut it. This time I'm not cutting and sewing, just cutting it. And when I cut, you see it'll split. And then the same with the waistband. Right click on that line, cut. Okay. And so now both of those are cut but not sewn. Now we have an edge where we can put a zipper on. We can put the zipper all the way down that front edge. Okay. The easiest place to put the zipper on is in the 3D window. So I'm going to zoom way the heck in here. Okay, so I can see this whole pattern piece here. All right, awesome. And this center line down here is the line down which we're going to draw our zipper. Excuse me. So I need to be able to see both sides of that line, and I need to be able to see them clearly. I need this garment to split open, okay? The way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to turn gravity on for just the briefest of moments. I'm literally going to click it on and click it right off again. And when I turn gravity on, this garment will start to separate because the weight of the garment will pull it apart. And then I click it off before it gets too far. If you click gravity on and your garment falls on the floor, undo and try it again. Okay? So gravity on, gravity off. There we go. And we have a separated garment. Yay, properly separated. All right. So that's what I want to see. I want to see both sides of the garment where I'm going to put that zipper. All right, let's do our zipper then. There are two tools over here to worry about. There's edit zipper. We can't edit a zipper because we haven't made a zipper yet. The one underneath it is the basic zipper tool, and that's the one we want. When you click on the basic zipper tool, you notice in the 3D window there's all these sort of funny dashed lines around the whole garment. Those all represent seams where you can put a zipper. Okay, so I'm going to start my zipper at the top corner. It is very important that you hit this exact top corner. Okay, if you miss it, make sure you miss it down the front and not up on the neckline somewhere. Because if you try and put a zipper on the neckline, CLO will very happily try and put a zipper on the neckline for you. We're not making a zip-off hoodie here. I mean, you can if you want to, but that's not the project. All right, we're making a zip front hoodie. And so we're going to click right on this very corner here. Click once and start dragging down. And as I pull down, and I'm not doing anything with the mouse other than moving it, you'll notice that this blue line comes down with me. The blue line represents the zipper. And so I want to make sure I go all the way to that bottom corner. And again, it's click and click again. And now that zipper has turned black. That's half my zipper. Okay, so half the zipper goes on that side. Where does the other half of the zipper go? Well, it goes on this side. Again, tippy top corner, click, and start dragging. And all the way to the bottom, and make sure you hit that bottom segment. You'll notice now that you have half the zipper selected already, as you're doing the second half of the zipper, it'll like race to this point. As you're moving the mouse down, the end of the zipper wants to come to this point because CLO knows that both halves of a zipper should be the same size. So it's going to come down here and it's going to try and come to that point. Again, click and click again. There we go. You have to give it a minute sometimes. All right, now we have these black lines down here. Usually that indicates sewing. In this case, it indicates a zipper. And if we zoom in, you notice there's a zipper here. There it is. There's the zipper. I'd like to see that zipper zipped up. Well, all right, let's turn gravity on. And there's my zipper, and it is zipped up. And with gravity on, I can even do things like come in here, and if I can grab the pull, sometimes it's hard to grab. There we go, thank you. Pull that zipper down. My computer's not cooperating today because it's very, very slow. It doesn't like me. All right, let's try it here. Move. There we go. All right, I needed the move tool. So I turn gravity off, use the move tool, pull the zipper down, just far enough so that it's attractive, whatever. Turn gravity back on, and there we go. Now the zipper is partially open. Yay, turn gravity off, and now it looks more like a realistic zipper. All right, and that's how to put a zipper in a garment. It's relatively simple. It can be easy to forget. If you are struggling with the zipper, if you're afraid you won't remember it tomorrow, go into the simulation and grab this French sleeve dress. Obviously, start a new project. Grab this French sleeve dress. On the back of the dress, there is a seam line running from top to bottom, and you can practice putting a zipper on that seam on the back of that dress. Okay? But that's how to put a zipper in the front of your hoodie.